Looking at the list of the first cabinet of independent Kenya, one must surely marvel at the collection of talent, at the best the country had to offer at that time. Men and women who had been to Alliance and Makerere, and one or two or three who had achieved accolades and been the first to achieve certain levels of education in the country. Mbio Koinange, I think the first African to receive a master's degree. Dr. Julius Gekonyo Kiano, PhD at an early age. Slightly later on, Dr. Zachary Onyonka, minister and PhD holder below 30 years. The eloquent Thomas Joseph Mboya, he that moved a crowd at Makerere, even though he himself did not have a degree. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the only student, we are told, allowed to underline the answer in mathematics without using a ruler. Harvest Tangaine Jackson. You can go on and on. And the conclusion you will make is that surely that cabinet reflected and represented the best that the country had at that time. This many years later.
Welcome to Herencia, the heartland of good living, where you belong. A community with endless possibilities. Your path to discovering a master planned gated community that matches your ambitions. Get yourself this must-have piece of paradise with state-of-the-art amenities, constant water supply, good security, tarmac roads, and much more. The best part, availability of buy and build financing services. Don't wait. Contact us today or visit our offices for more info. Buy and build your way at Herencia, the heartland of good living.
One would be expecting that we would have upped our game, and because of the high levels of education today, because the country today boasts of over 30 public universities and a number of constituent colleges. One would hope that today's cabinet would be far much better than the cabinet of 1963-1964 that comprises the likes of Murumbi, Otiende. Every one of those men you touched was a man of substance, especially given the time we are talking about. Today, the country is facing challenges. The presidency is under attack. Nobody's sure about tomorrow. Every time I wake up, I'm sincerely grateful to God that one, I'm alive, and two, the country is still intact. And although I'm not a very prayerful man, I do what may resemble a prayer and say, God, let tomorrow come. The challenges we face in this country today can squarely be attributed to the government that President Ruto formed after he took over government. Cabinets and the top civil servants will give you an idea of how serious the president is, of the chances that the country will move forward, or it will stagnate, or indeed it could collapse. Immediately, the president gave us a list of the nominees for cabinet. I raised the alarm. I said this, that looking at that list, looking at the names on that list, the list represented perhaps the worst this country could have at that particular time. Either they were completely incompetent, no track record for anything, or they had corruption record. Some had a stream of cases in court, including rape, murder, theft, plunder. And we raised the alarm because we love this country. And because we wanted the president to succeed. The success of President Ruto is the success of this country. And we all benefit. I further concluded that it did appear to me that the president had no intention of having men and women who would help him run government, because he's young, he's energetic, he's intelligent, he's smart. He wanted to run the government himself. I think I've been proved right over time. But I also did warn. I said that presupposes that there will be nothing else requiring your attention, Mr. President. It's in the nature of things that we rarely have enough peace to pursue a single agenda. There are always distractions. I gave an example of my instructor when I was learning driving. The days when people used to be taught how to drive. My driving instructor told me when he saw me afraid of navigating the vehicle in town. Those days you had to do out of town, off town, and then when you gain sufficient skills, you are then taken to town. At that phase, he noticed I wasn't quite comfortable. And my instructor told me this, and I've given this example several times, that there will be no time at all when the road will be cleared of all the vehicles and the pedestrians, so that you can drive alone. That's the example I was giving to the president. I said the president may have the capacity to run government single-handedly. After all, this is a small country. A country of about 50 or so million people, with very kindergarten challenges. Running Kenya is less challenging than running a ministry in a developed country. So it's possible that Ruto can run a ministry in America. And that means it can be less challenging to run the country as a ministry. But I also said, look here, while you are concentrating on running government single-handedly, because it is deliberate by choice of the ministers that you do not want them to work, other things will come up. Raila will come up. And indeed, Raila came up. And that is why we are where we are as a country. That the country does not have a government constituted well enough to help the president move the country's agenda forward. That is a simple truth. Today, the things that are happening in this country, surely that is testimony that there is a weakness at the center. The open rebellion from government we are beginning to see, perhaps a few resignations, defiance, people from within like Justin Muturi openly speaking up against government with the audacity to name the president in abductions and NIS is a clear testimony that the government is dysfunctional. And this we have brought upon ourselves. If Jomo Kenyatta could pick those men with powerful credentials at that time, what makes it so difficult for President William Ruto to look around his country and scout for men and women who, like Otto von Bismarck, will come and steady the ship at the time is about to capsize? What is so difficult? Today, government is constituted of ministers and the principal secretaries who know much less than an entry-level graduate in public service. There are countries in this world, Japan, Italy, even Britain, parliamentary system, where in a span of a year or so we can have 3-4 governments. Case in point, UK about a year or 2 ago, prime minister after prime minister, hardly a month or 2, you are out, another one comes. And the people would wonder, how come those countries are not collapsing? Those countries are not collapsing because they have a secure public service. The politicians can do their thing. Governments can come and go. Prime ministers can come and go. Presidents can come and go. But the infrastructure that is the civil service, the public service, holds the country together. And that is why a principal secretary must be a career civil servant who understands the ministry he's in charge of or she's in charge of. Today, like I've said, the prime minister and the what do you call them, principal secretaries. I grew up in the days we call them permanent secretaries. The PS and his minister, the CS, know absolutely nothing. I've talked to junior employees in ministries. They tell us you can't understand what's going on. It's not anything you can understand. People are extremely ignorant, functionally illiterate, some of them. How then do you expect to move a country? I advise the president that this is the time to reconstitute your government. There is so much mess in the country. There's so much that's going wrong that to expect this country can move forward or can even remain intact amidst all this is to be expecting too much. Indeed, it will be daydreaming. The challenges we face today, and I'm sure the president would know this, that going into the coming month, as we approach the 2027 general election, there is going to be more defiance. People are beginning to mock the president. They will do it more directly. People will bolt from government. The confidence levels will go so low that not only will the president be a lame duck president, but the country will be moving on very shaky and dangerous grounds. And therefore, the place for the president to begin, without wasting any time, is to look at his cabinet straight in the eye and answer the simple question, do I have a cabinet? I was once in the presence of CCs, sometimes they call themselves ministers of counties, in a forum somewhere. And I asked, where is government? Where are the ministers here? They said, we are here. I told them, I'm not seeing anyone. None of you appears or looks like even halfway a minister in charge of a docket. And the challenges we face today, and Kenya is not the only country going through these challenges. These challenges requires the best men and women we have to be on board, to have their hands on the deck. Times like this require that you put your best foot forward. Times like this require that you ignore the advice of sycophants around you if you are the president. Because the same sycophants will take the first route, the first escape route, when the house catches fire. It's good to have friends. It's good to have clansmen. It's good to have tribesmen around you. It feels comfortable. It feels secure. It's normal. It's natural. Even in America, presidents appoint to cabinet and other positions, men they know and women they know. It's natural. It's human. You get confidence. But it is much more useful and productive for you to look in those circles, for those in those circles with the capacity to help you steer the country. And that is a challenge to the President of the Republic of Kenya, that this is the time. It is a bit late, but it's still time for you to look at your cabinet and answer that one simple question. Do I have a cabinet? Do I have civil servants? Do I have public servants who can run this country when the politics is dirty? God forgive. Supposing we enter into 27 without IBC and there's all these shenanigans and there's mess all around us, we would expect the country to remain peaceful and steady, because we will have a public service that can continue running the country as we rearrange and reorganize our politics. This is not the time to gamble, Mr. President.